Hello and welcome to the BVB update for August 9th. I'm Stefan Butzko and in this format I cover Borussia Dortmund news and other shenanigans. And today we're starting with Anthony Modeste quotes because he of course gave a couple more interviews today to the own channel of Borussia Dortmund and also to Sky Sport News, and Rumours did summarize it. And so here goes. About the many rumors circulating ahead of his move to Dortmund, he said, quote, "This was nothing new for me because almost every year there were rumors about BVB having an interest in me. Now at 34 years old, it finally materialized, so nothing is impossible. Now I can play Champions League. I had to take this step. I thought about it, of course, but I won't get a chance like this again. I had to take advantage of it." And then he continued, "Edin Terzic told me he wants me at all costs. He wants to utilize my aerial strength to score goals. I'm happy to have such a coach, and that such a big club has knocked on my door. BVB is something special. Everything is big here. I'm looking forward to having awesome teammates and scoring goals." And then he was asked about how many times Dortmund have actually acquired about him in the past, and he said 3 times. And about Yusuf Moukoko, his striking partner, if you will, he said, "He's 17 years old. I'm 34. He's a huge talent. I'm there to help him. Of course, I have more experience. I think we will do a good job together." And today, of course, was a public training session where Anthony Modeste did feature, and afterwards Sebastian Kehl also talked about him and also gave an injury update, but more on that later. So Kehl did say, quote, "We're elated that we've been able to add another striker to our team. Contract conditions are always tricky to hammer out, but Anthony Modeste ultimately got on board. The circumstances were difficult, but we were able to achieve Edin Terzic's ideal solution. We believe that Tony Modeste exactly fits the profile that we were looking for in a striker." And then he continued, quote, "He is very excited about the move, although it wasn't easy for him to part ways with 1. FC Köln. We've now added a player that knows the Bundesliga really well, who knows the language, who will quickly integrate into our team, who has high fitness levels and who can withstand the intensity, who scored 20 goals last season, who is an aerial threat, who brings a physical presence, who has improved his pressing capabilities, who is a wonderful guy, and who's excited about playing in the Champions League. He wanted to prove himself on that level. Anthony also adds a skill set to our team that we, due to Sebastian Aller's illness, didn't have. At the same time, he has to accept the competition in the team. The coach now has the option to play in a multitude of systems, and there are several players who put themselves in the spotlight. But all that being said, the signing of Anthony Modeste makes a lot of sense in this situation." And with that, we can move on to the injury update because Jamie Bynoe-Gittens was back on the training pitch today, which is of course really good news. He is fit to play after suffering a hip bruise in the clash with Nico Schlotterbeck last week. And of course, today is the day after his 18th birthday, and at today's public training session, he did get a happy birthday song. So I don't know when it was the last time 1,500 people sang happy birthday for you for your 18th birthday, but that was really cool. Not so cool is that it still remains to be seen if Charlie Özcan will be an option. He is in partial team training. He only did the warm-up today. And Sebastian Kehl once again underscored that he had a very patchy preseason. So I don't know if he'll already be an option for Freiburg on Friday. And similarly, Karim Adeyemi is also doubtful. Dortmund and Kehl are hopeful that he can return to the training pitch in time to become an option against SC Freiburg. However, it is yet to be seen because he was not on the training pitch today. And also not on the training pitch today was Nico Schulz. He was, as Kehl said, dealing with personal matters in Berlin, but will rejoin the team soon. And if you want to read more on his details concerning the domestic abuse allegations, you can head to fearthewall.com because Paul Johnson did somewhat summarize them because it is messed up and reprehensible. So let's move on to other news. Patrick Berger on his podcast for die Dortmund Woche explained today why Manuel Akanji might still be a Dortmund player. He said that he is hearing from several sources that Akanji has very high salary demands and is thus scaring off potential clubs. Juventus were interested, but the Swiss wanted to earn around 13 million euros per year. and that was a non-starter. And yeah, if you wanted an update on Callum Hudson-Odoi's move to Borussia Dortmund, I think I have to disappoint you there. Mark Behrenbeck from Sky said that it's very unlikely to happen, and likewise Patrick Berger said that maybe if Thorgan Hazard or Julian Brandt could be offloaded, that maybe, just maybe then Callum Hudson-Odoi would move to Dortmund. But right now the the percentage of this move materializing is below 10%, so do not get your hopes up. And with that, we can move on to, quite frankly, the biggest news of the day, and that is that BVB President Dr. Reinhard Rauball will not stand for re-election in November. And as it says here in the press release, that after a total of 23 years in office, the 75-year-old Dr. Reinhard Rauball, President of Ballspielverein Borussia 09, eingetragener Verein Dortmund, will not stand for re-election in the club's upcoming general meeting in November 2022, and that he will recommend his current deputy, Dr. Reinhard Luno, as his successor to the election committee. And yeah, of course, there were a couple of quotes by Dortmund's president, and there Rauball said, quote, "I have been proud to be president of this great club for every minute of my time in office. For 23 years, I poured my heart and soul into this job. Borussia Dortmund, with all the different departments and aspects of our club, has always been a defining part of my life. It still is, and it always will be. It fills me with great joy that I have had the honor of serving as the president of Borussia in 3 separate instances. We have had such a profound impact on society, and I have been able to help lead the club out of difficult situations." And then he adds, with more than 160,000 members, Borussia Dortmund is now one of the largest clubs in Germany. Around 50 million people worldwide are BVB fans or sympathizers. And even though I will be working more intensively on my career as a tennis player and footballer from November onwards, I can assure you all today that I will do everything in my power for the good of our club until the last day of my term in office, and of course in the future as well. And then of course there's also a comment from Dortmund CEO Hans-Joachim where he said, quote, "We have the utmost respect for Dr. Reinhard Rauball's decision. Our president has rendered outstanding service to BVB. Everyone at the club owes him a huge amount of gratitude for all that he has done here. His willingness to put himself forward again for the office of president in 2004, when our club was facing its biggest ever crisis, laid the foundation for everything that has taken us to where we are today. On a personal level, Reinhard Rauball and I share an extraordinary, almost unique relationship of trust." And it says at the bottom here that during Rauball's 3rd term as president, Borussia Dortmund have claimed 2 Bundesliga titles, won the DFB-Pokal 3 times, and reached the final of the UEFA Champions League in 2013. And obviously, Dr. Reinhard Rauball leaving Borussia Dortmund is a subject that we must discuss on the Yellow Wall Pod, because obviously it's huge news. I can hardly emphasize how big this change will be, since he has been such a steady hand at the helm of the club for so long, and had many responsibilities during his career. And obviously it was a very illustrious career, and I don't think Dortmund fans can be thankful enough when he then finally ends his stint as president. But I will also end the stint of this BVB update now, because it is time for me to end it here. As always, thank you for watching, and goodbye.